So DJI recently released a new firmware update on the Mavic 3, and in that firmware update, they pretty much completed that full list of all the things that people were expecting, you know, they wanted out of the box. But of course, DJI did say that they had to delay some of these updates. But now we should have a pretty complete drone with this newest update. And with that update, they actually do have QuickShots in there. If you guys haven't seen my QuickShots video, make sure to check it above as well as down below in the video description. But in that firmware update, they also added things like the photo panoramics that we didn't have, and D-Log is now added in here. We also have MasterShots have been updated, also some zoom functions updated. So in this video, I want to walk you through those updates that require the drone to be up in the air. So let's take this thing outside and I'll show you all of the other new features in this latest firmware update. All right, let's go ahead and test out the new panoramic mode that's now in the latest firmware update on the DJI Mavic 3. All right, so the drone is up in the air, and on the right hand side, we click on that photo icon and scroll down, and at the very bottom here, you can see panoramic. And we do have a few different panoramic modes: sphere, 180, wide angle, and we also have vertical. So let's go through each one of these right now. This is the latest firmware update on the DJI Mavic 3. And let's go ahead and perform sphere and see what this one does. Go ahead and hit take. And there you go. It's going to start performing all the photos needed to take a sphere, a little planet type of photo. All right, so sphere is done. It's now processing that photo, stitching everything together. Next one we'll jump into now is 180 degrees. And as you can see, we have photo type, JPEG or RAW. So if I want full flexibility on this thing, I want to shoot in RAW. Just for the demo, I'm just going to shoot in JPEG. And that's all we have here as far as the options. Tap there. Okay. Yeah. 180 degree is processing, and I'll of course show that on screen once that's done. Let's go to the next one, wide angle. Let's do that one. Now what's interesting is that it does shoot pretty fast, and it's good and bad. Depends on when you're shooting, because if you're shooting right now on a bright day, shutter speed can be really high, easy, not gonna have many issues. However, if you're shooting on low light, you're gonna want to take manual control of that, which you could do at the very bottom of the image here and switch it from auto to pro. And that was wide angle. Let's go in vertical mode. Here we go, vertical. Quick little 3-shot, and that's about it. Next up that we have is burst shooting. So let's switch this out. Let's go to photo. And as you can see, we do have that burst option here on the left-hand side now. So we can switch that on. Let's just move a couple of angles here, change that up. And let's go into burst. So hit burst. You have an option for 3, 5, or 7 photos. Let's just do 5. And let's test out burst mode. And press that, and there you go. Okay, 5 different photos in burst mode. Next we have is the added digital zoom in normal video. So if I switch over to video mode, as you can see on the right-hand side now, we do have that option to hit 1 times or 2. And let me see if I can actually change it if I press and hold. Yep, so if I press and hold on the screen, I can actually adjust that way. Let me see if I can actually zoom in with my scroller. Yep, so you can actually use your scroll on the RC Pro. You can use the scrolls. Next we're gonna test is D-Log, because now a lot of people complain about this one. Now they added color assist when you're using D-Log, something that they had on their previous drone, which is a good thing. So it kind of gives you a little preview of what it might look like with a little bit of a LUT on there. So right now, as you can see, I'm in D-Log, and this is what it looks, really, really flat. But if you wanted to preview it, what it might look like, you just hit that color display assist, click on that one, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a grade on there. So it kind of gives you an idea of what it might look like. What I also want to check to see is if I can do that in ProRes. Is there color assist in D-Log ProRes? Click on ProRes there, and yes, we do have color assist with ProRes, so that's a good thing there. All right, the next update we have is 4K 60 frames a second, as well as manual adjustments when doing MasterShots. Okay, so it's up in the air. Let's bring MasterShots up. So on the right-hand side, as you can see, I have MasterShots, and at the very bottom of the screen, I do now have 4K 30. I click on that, and now you do see 4K 60 frames a second right there, as well as the ability to go from auto into pro mode so I can adjust all of those manual settings. Oh, I do like the new menu system, really nice. So at the very bottom, you see that's a whole new menu system on how you're changing your settings, which is pretty cool. You can see I can change that there, white balance. I can change the settings. If I want to adjust my aperture here, I can switch that from auto. And as you can see here, if I change my aperture and close that down, you can see my image getting a little bit darker, but my ISO is on auto, so I need to switch that too. So there you go. If I go auto there, now you can have full manual control when doing your master shots. So for now, I'm just gonna throw it back in auto mode, select me as my subject, and it's actually gonna take 2 minutes. You know what? Let's go ahead and run it. And here you go. Let's see what he got me. The great thing about MasterShots is that, like I mentioned before in my first video, is that it does record in 4K and it does make its own independent clip. You don't have to use all the templates in here. So if you wanted to take some of those shots out of MasterShots and use them into your story, easily do that. It just gives you a way for you to do all of these kind of a little bit more dynamic shots in one, and it's all automated. All right, so here's one that I know a lot of people were interested in doing, and that was the ability to use active track, but be able to zoom in when using active track, as well as be able to shoot in D-Log. Select me as the subject. Okay, there you go. Like I said, I always like to move around. Switch it to active track. And now that I'm in active track, let's actually go into my settings. And now as you can see here, I have the ability to shoot in D-Log, which is nice, as well as I can zoom in. Yes, I can, look at that. So you can zoom in up to 2 times and still do active track spotlight. Looks like point of interest as well. Okay, so it's in active track right now, back from behind, and I'm shooting in D-Log, and I am zoomed in a little bit. So let me just walk around just a little bit just to see if it will track me. Okay, so it's now going from behind me, because I did switch it from behind. And let's test it, let's go in front. And I'm just walking, so it's shouldn't be too much of a problem here. Zoom back out. Good. Circle here. Go into spotlight. Now I'm in spotlight. And what I'm gonna do is actually just move my controller around, and I'm just using my right hand right now just to move the drone forward. And as you can see, it's automatically moving the drone and the camera to keep me in the center. So I'm not turning the drone, it's doing it by itself. I'm gonna push it over to the left. And spotlight is doing all of the movements itself. And let's test out point of interest here. Point of interest. Hit go, recording. Move my angle down a little bit. I can zoom in. Let's try zooming in. Yep, I can zoom in, as well as zoom back out. I can speed it up. I can slow it down. All right, the next one that they did update is increased sharpness when using the Tele lens. Switch that over to Explorer mode. All right, so let's zoom in over here on this little bridge. It's got some bricks here on the side. Let's see if we can kind of see how clear those are from this distance. There you go. Now the one thing I don't think people realize is how steady this is. Remember, this is a drone up in the air, shaking and vibrating around, and what you're seeing on camera is that how it's fixing that thing digitally to keep that thing as still as possible. So very, very impressed in general with the ability to keep that thing pretty sharp for zooming in that much digitally. And there it is, just some of the features added on the new firmware update on the DJI MAVIC 3. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. If you guys want to see more DJI MAVIC 3 videos, make sure you guys check above, as well as down below in the video description. This is Ultra Stasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.